Okay. So, Zach, for the audience that doesn't know you, feel free to introduce yourself.
Yeah, for sure. My name is Zach Hillhouse. I just graduated from Pleasant Grove High School. I am track and cross country. Uh, I'm committed to run for BYU, and I'll start running there in 2026 after I serve in the LDS mission. For my high school career, my PRs in the mile of a 3:59, 150 for the 800, and 9:02 for the 3200.
What got you started on this?
Originally started running back in elementary with my brother. We were on a club team and we just absolutely loved it. And my mom loved it because I was just so full of energy and it was a good way to get all that out. And I just fell in love with the sport. And yeah, I started training with the high school during their off season going through junior high. So I really got to know the team and then I just was able to have an amazing high school career.
Um, but like, what kept you going with it though? Was it just the fact that you were good at it, or did you like really enjoy it?
Uh, there was a I feel like the start for me was that like I was pretty good. Everyone told me I was super fast, and that definitely helped. And then I feel like as I continued my journey, I just learned to really fall in love with it. Like the past 2 weeks, I was on a break, and I really just was really starting to miss running. Just I could not wait any longer to get back in the training.
But is it like the achievement of it, or is it like the thrill of it? Is it like what is it? The beginning? Is the end, or is it the whole way through?
I really feel like the achievement is a big part of it. Like it's very rewarding, but the best part is just in the when you're in the middle of the training, just in the middle, just you're able to look around, see where you are, how far you've come, and just be like, hey, look at me, I can do this. This is just amazing. Yeah.
So, for me, for example, like if I'm running, okay, number one, I have terrible cardio. I've always had bad cardio, but like if we're talking about running, like a lot of people don't like it because they are, because it sucks in a lot of ways. So, I remember I actually did talk to a runner and they were like, and they, just like a friend of mine, and I asked him, I'm like, okay, like, why do you like running? And he's like, because running is fun when you're good at it. So do you agree with that or?
It definitely depends on the person. For me, yeah, I started because I was good at it. I loved it in the beginning because I'm good at it. But again, as I've just kept going, I feel like just my favorite parts are just being able to go out. It doesn't really matter the pace for me, but just being able to go out and to just be able to go for however long it is, whether it's 7 miles or like 13 miles, just being able to go out and just be able to run. So I mean, in a way, it is kind of if you're good at it, but it's like for me, it's not really about competition. It's just being able to go out and just feel that like freedom and be able to just go and feel free as you're just running and just being able to take yourself wherever you want to go.
Sorry, yeah, I just had to fix up my audio. But I was gonna say that when we're talking about, like the training, for example, and like how you got to where you are, you know, what did some of that process look like, for you? Were you like training outside of school, like outside of the practice hours too, or were you just really, really focused when it came to like the practice hours?
Um, Outside of practice, I would go and hit the gym, and that was a big thing, a big help. Because if you even look from I did Foot Locker Nationals, if you look from pictures from then to like state, you can see I definitely gained a lot of muscle, and that definitely helps for track. I know it. Yeah, I could definitely feel the difference in that. But then for running itself, I just really got really locked in during practice. I would be going like, I don't know, 7 miles every day at like 5:45 pace for at least distance runs, and then intervals were just, yeah, it was just a lot of self discipline, making sure I'm making the most of my time while I'm at practice.
Were there ever moments where you were kind of questioning whether or not it was worth it to keep going? Like you were pushing yourself so hard or like so much that you were kind of like, do I want to keep doing this? Because you did mention before you had like a legitimate passion for it where, you kind of felt a little lost when you didn't have running, when you took a break and you started to miss it a lot. So, were there ever moments where you're like, this sucks, but I got to keep going? And, what were some of the worst moments of that?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I feel like a lot of the time it would be at the end of my runs, I'm just feeling super tired because I just put it all in, and it's just like I'm all alone, and it's like, what am I? Do I really want to do this? And I feel like the biggest turning point for me was it was early on in the track season. I switched up my mindset from I would always be like, before that I kind of didn't want to be there as much. Like I was kind of looking forward to being done with practice. But the biggest change was right then when I was like, okay, why am I here? Do I really want to do this? And the second that I switched up my mindset to where I actually was looking forward to practice and looking forward to being there, that was the biggest change where I started to see the biggest improvement.
So if we're talking about now like the internal discipline of that and like, the doing things outside of practice and, you know, basically being extremely dedicated, were there ever times where, maybe your friend said to you like, "Hey, you want to go hang out?" And then you're like, "I can't. I got to like practice. I got to keep on doing like not even like in practice hours, but like just outside of that, you had like that level of dedication."
Yeah, there was definitely a lot of missed opportunities because of it, but along with that, it also opened up more opportunities. It's like I missed out on a lot of social life, a lot of different activities at work I could have done, but it definitely opened up a lot of race opportunities, a lot of college opportunities, just being able to focus on running on my sleep, on everything outside of practice. And it really just helped me get that extra step to be able to get where I needed to go, where I wanted to go.
Did you ever have moments where you had to for example, like school, right? Like, because you do have other things to do with your life that are important. So, for example, when it comes to, how much are you focused on school and, you're kind of weighing out the values of that, right? Between what's more valuable right now, like my grades or running right now. Did you ever have moments like that where it's not even about your social life or like leisure activity that you're cutting out, but like you're starting to say, okay, well, I can either have this or I can have that. And they're both to some extent equally as valuable or important.
Yeah, um, not so much for school, but at least for work, I had to there was a big moment back in the fall where I had to decide whether I was gonna start working to get money for college or after school or school dances or whatever it is. And it was just really taken away from my training and taken away from my sleep schedule. And that was I had to decide right then if I was gonna focus just completely on running for my school year, or if I was gonna go let other things kind of distract me and focus on other things. But for school, I feel like that wasn't as big of a decision because I still had like a few hours after practice. I could just really focus on homework and to be able to make sure I'm staying caught up on school.
If we're talking about dedication, one of the more important things as well with regards to the quality of how well you're going to do is nutrition, right? And what you're eating, what you're putting into your body. And you're shaking your head, so I'm going to assume that that definitely was important. Um, But if we're talking about what did that look like what are you eating in a day? Like
Yeah, for sure. So in the morning for breakfast, I would do two whole wheat bagels, and I would put regular cream cheese on them, and then I would do some yogurt and granola, and then well, no, I didn't do granola. I did like uh, chia seeds and hemp seeds, and then I would do like a protein drink, and I would do vitamins, and that was my breakfast. Uh, for lunch, I would typically do like some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches on like whole wheat bread, and then dinner, it depended, but it was always something homemade, something real. And the biggest thing for me for my nutrition was just staying away from any kind of processed food and trying to focus on getting fruits and vegetables in me, and just kind of sticking to real, like authentic food.
were there ever times kind of like your social life where you had to deny a food like that you really really liked where you're like I really like this and it could be anything like cake steak whatever. I mean probably not steak but you know what I'm saying like a food that you really wanted to eat you really liked it and it's your favorite food and you have to deny it.
Yeah, all the time, all the time. There was especially times where even the rest of my family would be eating like some kind of dessert, and I just had to think to myself whether I was gonna let that affect me or whether I was just gonna pass it up and be able to keep on my diet. And it was definitely a hard decision, but well worth it. Yeah, every day in practice, I could feel just more energy and more like I just felt better when I was eating what I should.
Looking at it from the perspective of like 5 years from now 10 years from now like well, first 5 years from now, like what are you going to be doing? What does it look like? Where does this lead you? At least, in the end or in the next 5 years.
I definitely think I'll stick to the same type of nutrition plan. I definitely really enjoyed this the feeling that it gave me because it just felt really really good just to be able to know that on one side it's helping my body, giving me more energy, and on the other side it's also kind of like I'm doing everything I can to be able to improve and just to know that I'm giving it my all and that at least I'm if I can do it, then I will do it.
So now looking from away from nutrition, but the future of you as a runner, right? So 5, 10 years from now, as a runner, where does this all lead you? Like, what are you going to be doing? What do you want to do? Um, where do you think you'll be at the very least?
Yeah, I'll be running for BYU. I know they have a great coaching staff, and I'm super excited. And the hope is that I'll be able to train and try to make it to the Olympics, either 2028 or 2020 or 2032. But that's definitely the goal. And yeah, that's really what I'm pushing to work for is just the Olympic trials and the Olympics.
There's probably going to be last two questions. So number one, do you have any regrets?
Uh, no, I don't have any regrets. Um, I the only one that would be maybe is back in cross country was um, I barely didn't make it to NXN. I was the first person from the Southwest region that didn't get a go, and that was disappointing because that was what I'd been training for all summer. But I was able to go to Foot Locker, and that was just I think it was a better experience for me. It really helped me with my college recruiting, and I think that was the best thing for me. But aside from that, no, I don't. I don't have any regrets. It was the best season that I ever could have asked for.
What's the biggest thing that you've learned in all of this?
The biggest thing is just consistency. consistency is such an important thing as well as mindset. If you can have consistency and a good mindset, then you are going to be able to become the best runner that you possibly can be.
All right. I think that's a good place to end off. I'm going to end the recording and we'll talk like a little bit after the show.
Yeah.
All right. In 3, 2, 1.